Well, good morning again. Everybody lived through the coughing fits? It's a rough deal. I'm sorry about that. So, if you guys got a Bible, open up to Ecclesiastes chapter 5. Now, last week we started Ecclesiastes chapter 5. We got through verse 7, and then I told you verses 8 and 9 don't go with last week's sermon, and they don't go with this week's sermon, so read those on your own, so we're skipping those. It's not long enough for a full sermon. It's not short enough for just a throw in somewhere, so that's on your own. Enjoy that. Figure that out on your own. But today we're looking at verses 10 all the way through 20, and finishing off chapter 5. And what Solomon is going to do, he's going to talk about common misconceptions. Do you guys have any common misconceptions you know about? Now, some of my favorite ones that I hear, how about this one? Fortune cookies are Chinese. In reality, they're Japanese. And in China, they're viewed as an American cuisine type deal. Or how about the police, if they're undercover, they have to identify themselves. You know, you see this in TV shows. You know, if you're a cop, you have to tell me that you're a cop. That's not true. If they're undercover, they can do whatever they want. So they can do that. And then how about Napoleon was short? In reality, Napoleon's about 5'7", 5'8", pretty average dude. Pretty about my height. How about Buddha was a really fat guy? Nah, Buddha's just a skinny old dude from way back when. The fat guy was some other guy who was a Buddhist, but not the actual Buddha. How about Cinco de Mayo is Mexican Independence Day? Well, that's not true. That's just the day that Mexico beat, I think, the French in a battle in 1862, and they're just pretty proud of it. And it's not the Independence Day. Or I got a couple other ones. Remember back in the day whenever the War of the Worlds played on the radio, people said, oh, that caused panic and widespread panic. Not really. That's something that the newspapers made up so they could try and show that radio was an inferior form of communication. And so that's just made up. That's a misconception. And how about the Great Wall of China? It's the only man-made structure you can see from space. That's not true. You can't even see the Great Wall of China from space, but there's other things you can see from space that are not the Great Wall of China. These are things that we believe, and yet they're just plain dumb wrong, right? You guys got more of these. We could go on all day about common misconceptions, things that we believe that just plain aren't true. And today, Solomon, in the season of Christmas, he's going to apply these misconceptions to money. So Merry Christmas. We'll get there in a couple weeks. But she talked about Isaiah 7. We'll be there in 2 weeks. We'll get there. But he's going to talk about money misconceptions, and really he's going to come down to the fact that these are so commonly believed and so widespread, and so many people tell these things that they're no longer misconceptions, and now they're just outright lies. I mean, these are things that people believe that are just absolutely plain wrong, and some people are pretty okay with believing it and it's wrong and just completely blind to the truth. And so Solomon, he's going to talk about money. Now, to let you guys know, I don't know a ton about money, all right? I'm not a millionaire. I don't know much. And so what I say is not me. What I'm saying is Solomon, okay? This is what Solomon says through the words of Clayton, okay? That's what this is. This is not my thoughts, not my beliefs. This is Solomon, the wisest man, the wealthiest man who ever lived, his teaching. Now, if we're going to talk about something, we're going to go to somebody. If we're going to look for guidance in something, we're going to go to somebody who has experienced that or has a lot of it. And Solomon, he's got a lot of money, right? He is the most experienced man with money. If you guys don't remember from a few weeks ago, here's 1 Kings 10:27. And the king made silver as common as stone in Jerusalem. So this king's got a lot of money. This guy's got a lot of wealth. So if we're going to go to talk to somebody about wealth, this is the guy we're going to go talk to. We're going to go talk to the guy who's got so much stone that you're more likely to see it on the street than you are to see a stone. So much silver that you're more likely to see it than a piece of stone. This is the guy we're going to go talk to. He is the one who knows more than me, more qualified than me, more qualified than you, and he has more money than you. And so he is the guy to talk to. He's not only have all this money, all this wealth, but he's also incredibly, incredibly wise. And so I'm going to listen to what he has to say about money. And so we're going to look at these misconceptions, or really these full-blown lies that so many people believe. Now here's the first lie. It's that money brings satisfaction. Now if I just had a little bit more money, I could be content, right? Anybody think this? If I just had that one little bit more, I could be good. And if you, can we just don't really raise your hand, but I think everybody in here would say, if I just had that little bit more, I'd be satisfied. I'd be happy if I just got that one extra check, that one little bit more. Now, I don't know what you guys make. I don't know what you did make before you retired. I don't know what you will make when you do get a full-time job, but I'm going to tell you there's somebody out there who makes more, and they're going to be just as dissatisfied with their money as you are. Everybody that makes sense? There's going to be somebody who makes more money than you that is going to be just as dissatisfied as you. And so if you're thinking, if I just get that one little extra paycheck, that one pay raise, that one little bit more, then I'll be satisfied. The truth is, that's just not going to happen. That's just a full-blown lie. Here's what Solomon does. Here's Ecclesiastes 5, verse 10. He who loves money will not be satisfied with money, nor the one who loves wealth with his money, because this also is vanity. He pretty simply puts it, money does not satisfy. If you get just that little bit more, just another paycheck or another raise, it's not going to bring you satisfaction. Now, Solomon's plain, simple, to the point, it does not bring satisfaction. Now, this is an appetite, okay? Your love of money is an appetite. If I get more, what's going to happen to that appetite is that appetite's going to grow, right? Anybody on that binge right now with food? Because the holiday season, I eat more food at Thanksgiving, and now throughout the week, I want more food because can I just get kind of gross for a second? You guys know about the hot dog eating contest they do every year? You know, and the people eat 70 some odd hot dogs in like 5 minutes. Incredible. Now, do you want to know how they train for that? It's not all of these gargantuan, overly obese guys. It's this skinny dude with this big old pot belly afterwards. But the way that they train to do this is for weeks and months leading up to this event, they are just like gorging themselves so that their stomach will expand, okay? That's what they're doing. And then for like the couple days leading up to the thing, after they have spent all this time expanding their stomach and just gorging themselves with food and just expanding their appetite, then after they fast for a couple days and their stomach is really stretched out and ready to be full, they can go and eat 70 some odd hot dogs. Now, that's what happens with money. We think, if I just had a little bit more, it would fill up my stomach, fill up my appetite, but then your stomach grows to accommodate that appetite. It grows bigger. You get a little bit more money, and your appetite grows a little bit bigger. The more money you have, the more appetite you have to have more of that money. And that's what Solomon is saying. You think just another hot dog and you're going to be satisfied, but in reality, you're just making the appetite for that hot dog more. It might help, it might satisfy for a moment, but then what's going to happen is you're going to get hungry again. You're going to want more, and you're going to need more to fill up that appetite now. And this is why you never see a millionaire living in a trailer down in the trailer park. Anybody know a millionaire who's living in a little one-bedroom apartment or at a trailer park? It just does not happen. You get more money and you buy more stuff. And then you need more money to buy more stuff, and so it just keeps on continuing and continuing and continuing. You get more money, you buy more stuff, and the appetite just grows and grows, and you're chasing your wealth instead of doing something else. Now here's this, Ecclesiastes 3:11. Here's why it does not satisfy. We looked at this a couple weeks ago, but this is why money does not satisfy and why nothing satisfies, is because he has put eternity into man's heart. He has put this gaping hole in our hearts that no physical, no mortal, no earthly thing can fill, but only Christ and Yahweh God Almighty can fill. He is the only one who can fill this gap. And so with this appetite that keeps on growing, and we think more money will satisfy that, the truth is the only thing that can fill and can truly fill and satisfy is Yahweh God Almighty. But here's the thing, if you taste money and you fall in love with that and you keep on wanting more and more and more and more, you will forever be unsatisfied, and your appetite will just grow bigger and bigger and bigger to accommodate that appetite. So money, the first lie we see is that money satisfies, and Solomon calls this an outright lie and says it does not satisfy. And how about the second one? He says, well, how about money brings solutions? Anybody thought this one before? I've got a problem in my life. If I just had a little bit more money, I could fix the problem. Anybody else? I had to go get the new tires on the car, new rims on the car. If I just had a little bit more money, it'd be better. This would fix my problem. I'm in this rut. I'm in this tough time in my life. If I just had that little bit more money, that would fix this problem in my life. We think it brings solutions. If I just had a little bit of money, if I could get that, if I could do this, if I could help out in this way, provide that, enjoy that, then my problems would be fixed. And then here's what Solomon says, Ecclesiastes 5:11. When goods increase, they increase who eat them, and what advantage has their owner but to see them with his own eyes? He says, money goes up and so do the problems. Now, I know a lot of you are big rap fans and love the rap culture and music. That's sarcasm. Thank you, guys. 2 of you laughed. Thank you. So back in the 90s, there was this guy named the Notorious B.I.G. He's no longer with us, right? She knows more than me. He is no longer alive, but there was an album released posthumously, however you want to pronounce the word, after he died. And one of the songs was called Mo Money, Mo Problems. And you know what the chorus was? It seems that the more money we come across, the more problems that we find. We get more money, and we think it's going to fix our problems, but it has the absolute opposite effect. And the more money we have, the more problems that follow it. And here's the one that Solomon says, the more goods that increase, the more that those who eat them. The more distant relatives you didn't know had show up at your doorstep. Hey, Lord, heard you won the lottery. You want to help out a family member? Now, this just a couple weeks ago, Thanksgiving, I go to Thanksgiving, I'm at my grandma's house, and there's a guy there I've never seen in my life. It's like, who in the world is this guy? And I think I got this right. I'm not sure about the family relation. I think he was my grandma's cousin's grandson. So no relation to me, but he's a distant relative. He wasn't coming to mooch off of money, but if I had won the lottery, that's the type of cousins and type of distant grandma's cousins' kids that would show up at my doorstep wanting money. The more money you get, the more relatives you find out you have that come to mooch off of you, right? They're just leeches that are attracted to money. That's one of the problems that Solomon points out. He says the more money you have, the more leeches are attached to that money. Now, you guys ever watch the TV show King of Queens? I love this show. It's no longer running. Great show, though. You got to check it out. So, what the premise of the show is, it's this guy, Doug, and his wife, Carrie, and their dad, and her dad, who lives with them. And it's just them getting into trouble and then getting out of trouble. And one day, the dad, the grandpa, he goes to the senior citizen center, and then they go play bingo. And he comes back and he says, Doug, Carrie, wake up. I won at bingo. I won some money. And Doug says, that's great, Dad. Go take your $8 and go do whatever you want with it. Does this look like $8 to you? And he holds up this big wad of cash. That's $2,500. $2,500. That's a lot of money. If you guys are playing bingo, call me. I want to win some money. It'll be great. Now, and so they're trying to decide what they need to do with this money. And the grandpa, you know what the dad does? He says, no, I'm going to use it all on myself. And so Doug and Carrie, they start to con him into using his money on their stuff. And they need a new refrigerator. And so their dad loans them $1,000 of that dollars to go buy a new refrigerator. That's pretty good. I'll go to Whirlpool. Let's go find a good refrigerator. But they go and they decide they're not going to buy one of these brand new refrigerators. They're going to go buy this used refrigerator off this college student. Not a full-blown mini and not like a big one, but just kind of a middle range. And it's obviously not what they needed. And they put it where the refrigerator was in their house. And the dad comes home and he goes, is this the new fridge? And they say, yeah, that's the new fridge. And he says, amazing how tiny they can make these things. God bless the Japanese. And he goes on. And then they're like, oh, if he gave us money for that, what else will he give us money for? And so they break a clock on accident, and then they get money for that. And then they break the DVD player, and they get money for that. And he's got more money, so they're just trying to mooch him off of this more money. And that's one of the problems that Solomon points out. He says, the more money that you have, the more people are going to come along saying, hey, I've got a problem in my life that you could fix. And the problems just go up with more money. And here's the second half of that verse. And what advantage has their owner but to see them with his own eyes? What can the owner of the money do but watch as people take his money and they leech away his money as he just sits there and just watches it disappear? Their only problems increase whenever you get more money. And so we have this idea that money brings solutions. We have this idea that money brings satisfaction, and Solomon has debunked both of those. And here's the third one, this third lie, is that money brings serenity. Money brings this peace of mind. You know, anybody been a little bit worried about how you're going to pay for something that's coming up, a bill or something, and I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to pay for that. And you think, if I just had that money, I could be at peace. I could be comfortable. I could have serenity in my heart. I could be at calm because I know how I'm going to pay for things. And don't get me wrong. I mean, in America especially, money is a commodity that it's pretty necessary, not necessarily to live forever, but to live in America and the culture we do. We need some money to be able to pay for things and be able to live. But it's part of that. But when we get to the point where we're relying on it and thinking, this money will bring me happiness, will bring me comfort, will bring me peace, will bring me serenity, Solomon says that's not what does it for you. That's not what brings serenity. That's not what brings peace of mind. And here's what he's going to do. In verse 12, he says this. He compares two people. Sweet is the sleep of a laborer, whether he eats little or much, but the full stomach of the rich will not let him sleep. He says, listen, the hard-working man who doesn't know if he's going to have a full stomach that night or not, that he's going to sleep well even if he eats just breadcrumbs or even if he eats a full roast, okay? He's going to sleep through the night. He's going to have peace of mind. He's going to have serenity. But the rich man, with a full stomach every night reliably, he is worried, and he's upset about it. And he's worried about what's going to happen, and we're going to look at that in the next point, but he's so worried and so upset over how am I going to keep my money, what's going to happen, how am I going to hold on to this, and he is an insomniac. He cannot sleep at night. Now, you guys know the name John D. Rockefeller? He is the world's first billionaire and considered the wealthiest man in America's history and the wealthiest man in modern history, even more wealthy than Bill Gates or anybody else that's up there. I mean, more wealthy than that, because this man was a billionaire in the 30s. And imagine what a billionaire in the 30s will do today, 100 years later. That's a big deal. That's a lot of money. And this man, even though he has incredible wealth, there's a point in his life where he is sick every day, can eat nothing but bread and milk, and he can't sleep at night, and he goes to the doctors, and they say, here's the deal. You're either going to have to give up your wealth, or you're going to have to give up your life. Because you're so worried over your wealth, you're so distraught over what's going to happen to your money that you can't sleep at night, and it's costing your health, and your hair's falling out, and you're getting pale, and even though you're 60, you look 102. You look rough, John D. Rockefeller. So you're going to have to give up your money and your worries, or you're going to have to give up your life, one or the other. And so John D. Rockefeller begins to give away his money in hoards, and his health regains. He thought that his money will bring him serenity, bring him peace of mind at heart. And in reality, he was so worried, the wealthiest man in the world, the guy's got everything. He doesn't have to worry about a thing, and yet he is an insomniac. He cannot sleep. His money did not bring him serenity. And here's the last one. This lie that money brings satisfaction, that money brings solutions, and that money brings serenity, this peace of mind. And we also have this one, money brings security. And this is a big one. We think money is going to buy a bigger lock, a thicker door, or a better financial advisor, or a better Roth IRA, or a better whatever it be, and we think we're going to secure our livelihood, secure our family, secure my life because I have more money, and if I just had a little bit more, I could buy that thing, or I could invest in that thing, and have more confidence that I have hope for tomorrow. And this is the biggest section that we're going to look at today. Here's Ecclesiastes 5:13. There is a grievous evil that I have seen, and that's grievous evil. That's bad. Anybody else get that feeling, that hint from that? A grievous evil. This is no good. I have seen under the sun riches kept by their owner to his hurt. This is the guy who hoards up wealth, and even though he has so much money and uses it to find security in, it is to his own hurt. He hurts himself with this instead. And this is a heading for an example of two ways that money can fall apart and money does not bring security. And one of these ways, found in verse 14. And those riches were lost in a bad venture, and he's a father of a son, but he has nothing in his hand. Now, one way that this guy, he thought, I'm going to invest in this thing, and this thing is going to bring me more money, and then I will have security for my family, for myself, and for my son. And then, in that bad venture, he loses all of his money, and it goes away, and it's lost. And it's worse than that is that his son, who's relying on him to have a little bit of money to try and live for the next day, has nobody to fend for him, nobody to provide for him, and it's a nasty situation. Now, anybody know somebody who's won the lottery? I don't personally know somebody who's won the lottery, but I've heard countless stories of people who win the lottery, millions and millions and millions of dollars, where if they lived the same lifestyle where they were before, they could live comfortably until they die with that money. But then what happens to them is within a couple of years, they're bankrupt because they keep spending money, and they spend more, and they spend more, and more, and more, and more, and they find their security in their money, and then all of a sudden, one day, it's gone, and what are they going to do next? It's gone, there's no more security in it, and they can't provide for themselves, and they can't provide for the family after them. Money lost in a venture, and then here's another one. As he came from his mother's womb, he shall go again, naked as he came, and he shall take nothing for his toil, that he may carry away in his hand. This also is a grievous evil. Just as he came, he shall go. And what gain is there to him who toils for the wind? This is the guy who works and works and works and works and works and works and works, gets all this money, and then all of a sudden one day he dies, and where does that money go? But nowhere. That money cannot protect him from death forever. It might be able to buy better doctors, it might be able to buy a better liver or whatever you need, but it will not last forever. He's going to die just like everybody else. The rich man dies just like the poor man. The wise man dies just like the fool. Everybody dies. No matter what you have in this life, you can't prolong that life. He says your money does not secure eternal life. Your money has no security in it. And any hoarders in the room? They got garages full of junk, McDonald's toys from 20 years ago that mean nothing, that are worth a nickel. Give me some McDonald's toys. I'll sell them on eBay for $10. We'll get some money out of it. But he says, look at what that does. What is that? The money that you hoard and find security in, even if you don't spend it, if you don't lose it, what does that do? Does that further your life? No. Does that toaster you bought back in 1984, still with the manual with it, does that bring you any more life? No. And he says, you're hoarding up all this stuff, and it doesn't do anything for your life. You're going to die just like everybody else. And that money and that stuff that you've collected doesn't bring you any advantage. And he says this is all vanity. That's an illusion of security. And here's the last verse. Moreover, all of this, all of his days, he eats in darkness and in much vexation and in sickness and in anger. This man who hoards up all of his stuff or loses it all in a bad venture, his life is vexation, is confusing, is lost. He's wandering around and he has no meaning, and it is vanity, and he's sick and he's angry over this fact. And this lie that we so often believe that money brings security, it's just an illusion. It's just on the surface level, and it does not last. So if those are what is not true about money, then what is true? What can we gain? What can we learn? That is the truth, and what should we do with this money? And that's found in the next few verses 18, 19, and 20. And here is what Solomon finds. Here's the truth that he discovers. It's that money is a gift. Money's not there to bring satisfaction or solutions or serenity or security. It is there because it is a gift from God, and that's it. Here it is, verses 18, 19, and 20. Behold, what I have seen to be good and fitting is to eat and drink and find enjoyments in all the toil with which one toils under the sun, the few days of his life that God has given him, for this is his lot. This is what we've seen before a couple times in Ecclesiastes. We're going to see a couple more times. Eat, drink, be merry, enjoy a life. That's a gift from God. And he's going to apply that, finding true joy in life only by God. He's going to apply that now to money. In verse 19, everyone also to whom God has given wealth and possessions and power to enjoy them and to accept his lot and rejoice in his toil, this is the gift of God. He says money is a gift from God. And we have to ask ourselves, what's the point of a gift, right? If money, if wealth, if possessions, if enjoying those things is a gift from God, what is the point of a gift? We're getting ready to come to Christmas right now. We're getting ready to go give some gifts. What is the purpose of you giving that gift to that person? It's not so that they can worship that gift, right? You don't want them to be so consumed with that gift that they forget that you exist. No. That gift is given to somebody so that they can be shown the love that you have for them. It's so that they can be drawn closer to you. That's the purpose of gifts. We give gifts to each other so that we can draw each other closer and we have a closer relationship and show the love that we have between each other. That's the purpose of a gift. If you think otherwise, think again, because you've got the gift giving wrong. You give gifts so that the two people can be drawn closer together, can have love shared between them, and that's what God does with his gifts. He gives gifts to us to show his love for you and I, and he gives his gifts so that you and I can be drawn closer to him. That's the point of the gifts. That's why gifts exist in the first place. Now here's Ecclesiastes 5:20. For he will not much remember the days of his life, because God keeps him occupied with joy in his heart. Now, you ever given a gift to your kid, and then within a couple years they've lost it, or they've broken it, or it's in the trash, right? Anybody else with me? I got toys that I don't know what happened to. I gave them away, or broke them, or lost them, or something. But those gifts, they did not last forever. They're not meant to last forever. Those gifts are not meant for me to play with them forever. Those gifts are meant to draw me closer to the giver. And that's what God does. If you have wealth, and let me tell you, you live in America, you've got wealth, okay? You live in this country, you live in this town, you've got wealth. You've got the money, you've got the possessions, and that is to draw you closer to God. It's not so that you can worship that money. It's not so you can find hope and security and serenity and solutions and satisfaction in that money, but it's so that you can be drawn closer to God through that money. Now, if you guys want to come up and play, we have these lies that we believe that money brings solutions, satisfaction, serenity, and security. But in reality, none of those things are guaranteed by money. And that's why And Paul writes in 1 Timothy 6:10, I think you guys know this verse, "For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil." Not money itself, the love of money. If we take the gift that God has given us and worship it instead of the Creator, it is evil. And so that's why money is given, so it can be drawn closer to God. Now, instead of looking at your money as stuff to do other things with, we need to look at money not as an answer, but as a gift, a tool used to bring us nearer to God.